I am 30 years old, and as I was assessing moving into this tiny home situation, one of the things that really ended up propelling me was I started noticing all of these traps in my life. For example, I was paying 50 bucks a day for my dog to go to daycare because I was in a one-bedroom apartment all day where she really didn't have exercise, and my job was demanding enough where I hardly had time to take her out for walks and things. But then she's in daycare because I work this job. So you can see how it's like a circular reference. And there were a bunch of things like that. The cost of food, the cost of rent. For me and where I'm at, it makes so much more sense to live in community, get the support that I need, keep my expenses low, have all of this bounty and room for the dog to run around and for me to run around, frankly, and be free and write and read and play where I want to on the farm. Hi, my name's Yasmeen. Welcome to my tiny home in Portland, Oregon. So I've been living here for about 6 months, since the end of January, and it's a 5-acre homestead located right in the city in Portland, Oregon, which I think is amazing. So we get both of the kind of like urban city connection angle, and then we also get this really rural, amazing kind of hidden secret garden-y gem. The tiny home is 16 by 8. It's roughly 130 square feet, and it was built by the main land tenders at the farm, Kelly and Matt, specifically for somebody to come in, live in the tiny home, and help out with all of the different farm chores. On this farm, we have about 5 acres, and I'd say roughly half of that is growing area for food that we eat here on the farm and then also share with our community. And we also have about 23 animals, and so it's a mix of farm animal chores, food chores, general community, and kind of just different things that come up on the farm. So one of the things I think is really important, and that's shared by Matt and Kelly, who built the tiny house, is kind of proximity to outdoor spaces. And you'll see that reflected in the tiny home, even just with the deck that's built. When you're living in community, it's a nice signal that you're ready for social interaction when you're out there on the deck. I do live with other people, and so it's kind of a nice like green light for other people to come and approach me and have a cup of tea or a conversation or a beverage. And it's been a really great element to have in tiny home living. As Matt and Kelly built the tiny house, they A, did a ton of research, B, learned from friends, and then were able to bring that all together and create really intentional design decisions, special spaces, and more. And I'd love to show you a little bit about that now, if you want to come with me. Welcome to my tiny home little nest space. This is a space where I cook and relax and do some art and sleep. And it's intentionally a no work space. So I do all of my kind of working productive hours elsewhere because I really wanted this to feel like my resting sanctuary space. We're here in my little tiny kitchen space. We've got really great butcher block tabletop here. And then all of these cabinets that are in here were custom made by a friend of Kelly and Matt's who put all of this together in a configuration that's really great. One thing I really love is this pull-out cutting board. When you're in a tiny home, you are really economizing on the amount of things that you take with you, and so to just have little things like that are super useful. I've got my one-stop shop sink here. This is where I'm doing dishes, washing up. It's also my bathroom sink. We have a hot water pump system right here that can be turned on or off, which is really great. I've got these really great dish drying rack, but also storage for mugs and different things over here. I think vertical space is something you have to be really mindful of in a tiny home because you start to lose surface area really fast. So I just love that these are hung up like this, and it just opens up all of this other counter space to do chopping and cooking and whatever else I need to do over here. And then on this side, I have my super cute stove setup. It's a 3-burner stove, although I often only just use the one up top here. I feel super lucky that it's a gas stove, and I even have like a little baby tiny oven in here that works really well for roasting different things. And then just like all of the cabinetry, because it was custom made, you know, I've just got room for all of my kind of like extras, and sometimes it's not traditional kitchen stuff that I'm putting in here. I feel really, really comfortable here, and I'm even able to make large meals for friends if I want to entertain, even just off of this tiny little stovetop. So works really well for me. We talked about like signals of social ability earlier with the outdoor space, and another one is that if I am inside and cooking, it typically signals to the rest of the folks on the farm that I'm feeling a little hermity and want to just do my own thing in here. We are super lucky that on the other side of the homestead, there's a really great outdoor cooking space with, I think, 5 or 6 burners. It's much more of a standard size. And if I'm making like a big cauldron-y pot of soup or stew, I will typically choose to do it out there. It's also just a really great meeting space. We've got picnic tables, we've got tons of utensils. There's like blenders and crock pots and all kinds of different supplies that are for the community space to be used. And so it's just a really great meeting and gathering place for the folks on the farm to convene and share a meal together as well. Yeah. Also connected to the kitchen is the majority of my wardrobe. This is my little closet space. It is constantly evolving. I do have a storage unit where I keep heavy coats and clothes and things just from a practicality standpoint so that they're not all clogging up this space. So I keep it pretty light and lean, and I really only have things in here that I don't mind getting dirty on the farm. And then down here is the pump system that powers the water pressure for both the main sink and the shower in the tiny home. So that just lives in here and doubles as some nice storage space for the dog food. All right, and then over on this side, I have my kind of like medium-sized fridge. Some would consider it tiny. And then down here, again, everything is kind of multi-purpose, so I'm using it right now for some kind of like extra mug and bathroom toiletry storage, but the main purpose of this area is for the solar power to electrical conversion, and that system's really cool because it would allow this tiny home to be completely off-grid with the solar panels that are on the roof. There are better times, but there's no perfect time. It is going to take a leap of faith. I've come from a more traditional route. I went to a 4-year university and then immediately went into internship land and then did like the banking thing and then did the marketing thing and like, you know, your typical kind of 9-to-5 high stress climbing the ladder stuff. And you just get to a certain point in your life, like for me at least, where I looked around and I was like, I have all these things that society deems me successful by. I have a house and I have a spouse and I have, you know, this certain way of living, but something was missing. Something really big was missing. And so I think having the awareness that something's missing, but then you have to follow that thread to where it leads you. And I think that takes a great deal of courage. But I do think that when you follow that thread, the path kind of moves around you. I really kind of believe in this, like the universe will reward you and put you on the right path and meet the right people and send the email at the right time when you take that leap. So I'm all about encouraging other people to give it a shot and see what happens. Society is engineered to keep people stuck. You have to have a certain amount of people being kind of like cogs in a machine, so to speak, for the machine to work. And that's just the way it is. And we live in a like profit-seeking, you know, kind of machine. And so when we live in a machine that's like quite frankly engineered for that kind of thing, ordinary people like you and I lose. It kind of reminds me of the whole breaking out of the matrix thing. You do have to like sometimes take the red pill and give it a shot and see where it leads.
we decided that it would be a good investment to build an ADU, and we wanted to do a tiny house because when we first moved here, we weren't sure if we were going to be staying long term. So we figured if we build a house, we want to be able to bring it with us if we have to move someday. Now we're more long term here.
How can we get everything that we want, something that we can take with us, something that has a real natural feel to it, and really kind of speaks to the kind of lifestyle that we kind of represent, that we want to have here. Even though we knew we weren't going to be living in it, it's also like the space can attract the people. And so what kind of a space do we want to bring in somebody who wants to live in this kind of space, in this kind of place, to help us with all that there is to do to take care of a piece of land.
And then this is my bathroom quarters. I have this really nifty medicine cabinet that opens up. It's inset into the wall, and so this is where I keep all of my personal items, and it also doubles as a mirror. And then I have a shower off to this side. And then there's also a dehumidifier in the shower, and that's to help with kind of the never-ending battle against mold in the Pacific Northwest. The dehumidifier just essentially lives and is on in the shower at all times. And then of course, when I go to take a shower, I'll take it out. When I'm finished, I'll do a little squeegee just to remove any excess water that I can. And then the dehumidifier gets put back in there, plugged into the wall, and it kind of does its thing. On the other side of my tiny bathroom space, I have a compost toilet. This is my first time living with a compost toilet, and it's a really great water energy saver. You just kind of have to get used to a couple of tricks. It's got a fan attached to it, so there's really no smell or issues there, even though it is a really small space, so that works out really well. For privacy reasons, should I want to just close this off, I've got a little curtain that just closes and opens just like that. Okay, so this is really the living space in the tiny home. There's not a ton of room, but one thing I do love about everything in here is that it's multi-purpose. And so this bench here is actually a total custom build storage bench with some kind of just like box organizing, and I just keep little odds and ends in there. And then we've got a seat cushion on top that Kelly had custom made that's super cozy and comfy, and so this is like my little reading, eating, having friends and entertaining friends. It's also my dog Ginger's little space that she loves to come up here and kind of just relax. So when I'm not in the house, that's kind of like her domain. This is another extension of my wardrobe right here. I've got some drawer system, and pretty much everything in here is either thrift store, Facebook Marketplace, or stuff I already owned. This is a really great Facebook Marketplace find. And then I just love this drop leaf table. This is another Facebook Marketplace finds. If I wanted to make this larger, I could open up this leaf. If I wanted to make it smaller, I could put down this second leaf. So I just love the optionality just based on number of people in the space, time of year, what I'm up to and doing, and so on. I love that this space is as tall as it is, first of all, because it just adds like an airiness. And when your footprint is as small as it is, the vertical space is really important. I've just got some clothing items up here, some yarn and crafting items. This is just a really fun, like perfectly sized little shoe cabinet that Kelly thrifted and kind of like eyeballed the measurement, and then when she went to put it in, it was just like perfect fit. I have some temperature control via this device up here. In the winter time, I'll keep it plugged in and it will provide heat, ambient heat for the space. It's all powered by an app, so it's just super easy. I can even set it when I'm kind of like on my way home. In the summertime, I really prefer to just have the doors open. Speaking of these doors, I absolutely love them. I haven't seen a lot of tiny houses that have a French door set up, and it's one of my absolute favorite features of the space. Like for me personally, wanting to be closer to nature, this is indoor-outdoor living at its finest. And then I've got these really great curtains that I just brought into the space myself, and they're kind of sheer, but they allow me to keep those doors open and then also have like the privacy factor. Ginger, my puppy, knows how to just come in and out of those. Another one of those signals or whether I'm up for, connection and interaction or not, based on whether these curtains are open or closed.
Let's feel better than ever together. Join me in adding a convenient single scoop of Super Greens powder to start your day right. It's a powerful, all-natural daily greens formula that truly tastes great. But more importantly, it's designed to support gut health, digestion, sustain natural energy, and daily nutritional balance. Don't worry. This Made in the USA powder is designed by nutritionists and third-party tested. It's made with organic vegetables and contains probiotics plus digestive enzymes. Super Greens has been an easy habit to add to my morning routine. A tiny, consistent step that adds up to a big impact on how I feel. Like less bloating and more energy. The time has come to level up your healthy habits. Try Super Greens today. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description. Save 15% off the first order with our code Alexis15 and up to 50% off site-wide until December 5th. Get a free Live It Up shaker bottle when you subscribe.
Over here on this side of the living space is my tiny wood stove. It's super cute. Anytime anybody visits, I immediately get compliments on just like the cute factor, which is really fun, but it's also highly functional. This was kind of a later addition to the tiny home, but now with this, I have absolutely no problem staying warm in the winter. So I just take like a standard piece of wood and I use a wood splitter that I've got hooked up to the wall outside to create smaller pieces. And this baby will keep this space warm enough that you actually might have to crack a window, which is perfect in my opinion, just having the warmth and then also having the fresh air. And love that it's up off the ground. I didn't choose to put anything in the vertical space below it because we have the ladder right here. The tiny home is about 130 square feet, but one of the things that even further maximizes the space is the fact that I have this sleeping loft upstairs. So I'd love to show you. Welcome to my sleeping space. I sleep like a baby up here. This has to be like the comfiest mattress that I've ever slept on. And it's great because I've got this window on this side. I've also got another window behind me here. So even on a 90-degree day like today, and even though we're now elevated up and so theoretically it should be hotter, I've got a cross breeze going across here. And then I've also got a fan pretty much going at all times. And it's super, super comfortable temperature sleeping. This ceiling is on a slant and maximizes height on this side of the tiny home. When you're sitting on this side of the bed, you can actually fully sit up with enough clearance above your head. This is a total custom bed and mattress. Again, anti-mold, anti-moisture in the Pacific Northwest, and so that allows everything underneath the bed to just breathe and have airflow, and just really, really intentional, thoughtful design choices by Matt and Kelly when they were setting up this space.
One of the things that made us realize that we wanted to build it ourselves is that we started looking around at what was already out there. And every time we would go to look at something, we were like, oh, well, we would want to change this and we want to do that. And we think we could do it a little bit better. If we bought something that was already made, we'd have to do all this work to make it exactly what we wanted. And so our first notion was like, we could build this for like really cheap. Well, now we know how much it did cost. It wasn't as cheap as we thought it would be, but we kept the cost around, I think it was under $30,000. We have friends that are builders that helped us out in a lot of ways. And we have a friend who's a cabinet maker. The cabinetry that you'll see in there is gorgeous and completely professional. In order to be on the budget that we were on, we used Facebook Marketplace a lot. We went to Habitat for Humanity Restore, the rebuilding center in Portland. We drove a lot to pick things up, like the batteries, the lithium batteries we got for a steal of a deal. I drove like a couple hours to get them. So you're just kind of constantly balancing that and compromising, oh, it's not the same color, but that's okay. We can paint it or whatever. We were able to do it, and it was really fun goal and challenge.
And a farm where we also have a lot of things to trade and exchange, so like not everything we bought with money. That's nice. I think like the value of non-monetary exchange is a really important one. And yeah, I don't know what it would have cost if we had paid
Like top dollar
money for everything, but it would have made it out of our range.
Yeah.
I am paying $750 a month to live in my 100 square foot tiny home, and you have to remember that also means access to a 5-acre farm where my dog can run around, not needing doggy daycare because she actually has ample time and space to play and run around and be free. That also means farm fresh ingredients to make meals with, fresh eggs. We just went through like an egg crisis and we always had fresh eggs here. It feels so much more just like an intentional community of us that are here and just pitch in when it's needed. On a more general kind of commentary on society, I think we are more isolated than ever. I think it does take a village and it should take a village. Like it was designed to take a village. And now we're kind of all under the illusion that we have to do it alone. And people are stressed and tired and sick and depressed because of that. It feels really, really good to be a part of a community, albeit kind of a smaller one, but really feeling like we have each other's back. More than once I've been sick and Kelly's brought me a meal. And vice versa.
First, we were doing kind of more of a work trade, like not really paying, then like keeping track of hours. But then that also puts a lot of work on us to kind of like have all of that laid out and organized. And we also don't want to be like checking in on anyone. We all pay a reasonable amount to live here. Like our rent is reasonable, the tiny house rent is reasonable, and then what we want are people who want to be here and who want to be gardening and harvesting from the garden and cooking together and things like that.
We actually met in community, and that community had 16 to 20 people there full time, and that was a lot, and we learned a lot, and it was a wonderful experience in a lot of ways. And also, like actually, I think we kind of like a little bit more privacy than that, and to have more personal space.
Yeah. I raised my children in the community we were there for about 5 years. And when we left, we were ready for some space. We were most of the time in a shared home where we were sharing the kitchen, the bathrooms, the laundry room, and everything like that. And so what we decided is ideally we share some community space, but we have our own bathroom, kitchen, and then we decide when we want to come together and we have those shared spaces.
It's kind of a cohousing model in a sense.
Especially in Portland, or I would even say in the Pacific Northwest. As I've gotten oriented to this community through Matt and Kelly, who have introduced me to so much more community, like-minded community, there are lots of options like this, where folks are intentionally looking to build small communities on their land, might need help with something, might not, and it might be a totally different work trade situation. You know, there's like carpentry versions of this, there's landscaping versions of this. The point is, the options are out there for those who are wanting to make a lifestyle change. Start to identify in yourself, what are my core needs? Meaning like, for me, it all came down to flexibility, freedom, and communion with the land. And then putting those out into the ether, if you will, and like really wishing and wanting for those, and then doing research about different situations that would bring me those three things is what brought me here. Stepping stones are okay too. Maybe you don't find 100% the right fit right away, but you find a person that can connect you, or maybe you want to build your own tiny home and you don't know where to start. Maybe go try and live in something else that's pre-built and get a sense of what you like. And you can apply that to non-tiny home things too. But I think just like being open to what's out there and trying things, and I think like failure is a really actually super important part of learning what you like and don't like. And so just being open and easy on yourself when those like failures and learnings do come. and taking them as like, now I have a much better idea of what I want next, and I can go and build that next vision in my life.
Thanks for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian, and this is our DIY tiny house on our homestead in Oregon.
Looking for more tiny inspiration? Watch these videos. But if you're looking for something specific, visit our channel homepage to browse tiny homes by category.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Hope to see you soon.